Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. For today I was thinking we could be painting these eucalyptus leaves, and for painting I will be using Clairefontaine Fontaine watercolor paper, and also those are the colors I've pre-mixed for my painting. And as you can see, I will be mostly using some greens, and also I'll be using these round brushes, maybe one more or less. And of course I've made my sketch and I've drew it on just a regular printing paper and then traced it onto my watercolor paper. As always, you can find the link for free sketch in the description box, so the link is from my website, so go ahead, just download the sketch for yourself, trace it and join in. Also, all the materials I will be using are listed down in the description box, so you can of course again check it out. This time I will be painting wet on dry, meaning that I did not pre-wet my paper, but I will be painting on a dry paper. I'm using a brush, round brush, that can hold quite an amount of water, so meaning that really I do not need to pre-wet my paper, and I can pick up enough of pigment, enough water in my brush to paint in and not to be afraid that my paper will dry. So first, I started with painting with one shade of green, then added here and there taps of other shade of green, and in the bottom part and also nearest to the root of my leaf, nearest to the stem, I will be using this mix. I've made a little bit of bluish mix. And I will be switching off from one brush to another brush, from a larger brush to a smaller brush, depending on the details I want to make, and also depending on the fact if I want to have a little bit less or a little bit more water in my brush, because when I'm using a bigger brush it can hold quite an amount of water, and if I don't want that much water in my brush I will be using slightly smaller brush to add in some details. Also, just be careful not to have puddles on your leaves when you add paint to the leaf. Then just be careful that you pick up all the paint, all the water, that you don't leave any puddles behind, because if you do leave puddles it will be drying with a cauliflower effect, and that is fine if that's what you want, but if not, you should be careful and pick up all the water, all the puddles, just slightly pick it up with your brush, place your brush on a particular spot and pick up the water and just dry it on your towel again, come back, if you have more puddles, come back and pick up again that puddle, that water, so that, as I said, you don't leave any excess water on your paper. And I am starting off with the lightest green, just you can see right now, tapping here and there a little bit more, and if I am leaving a little bit more pigment, a little bit more water, I am leaving it in the part where the leaf is beginning, where it's nearest to the stem, and then adding a little bit more of the other pigments. And all the leaves I'm actually painting in the same manner, in the same way. So as I said, making a light wash with one green, tapping in the other green, and then at the end tapping in some more of that bluish color. And well, you can add as much as you want of the green, as much as you want of the blue. You can of course here use some maybe yellow if you want some parts to be yellow, but just be careful also not to come back to your leaf, that when it starts to dry it really needs to be done in one layer. Later on we will be adding a little bit more details, but when we come back with more details, the paint on the first layer should be quite dry. I'm now adding a little bit of sepia to some of the leaves, and just in a part where the leaf is touching the stem. This is a synthetic brush. I love it because it just snaps back so perfectly, and it's perfect for painting these leaves in one stroke. Just start with a pointed tip, slightly gliding on your paper, press it a little bit harder to get the leaf itself, and then pick it up and just glide slightly on the paper to paint in the stem. And now I'm adding a little bit of blue to one part again of the leaf. And as I said, just if you have a brush with a quite pointed tip, use that brush, just slightly go onto your paper, press it a little bit harder to paint in the leaf, and then pick it up to paint in the stem. And this is, I guess, the easiest way to paint in the leaves, no brainer at all. So I guess that is why I love it and why I like to paint in those leaves with it. And also I'm using the same colors as I did for eucalyptus leaves, and for some I'm using a little bit lighter shade of green, for some a little bit darker, and then again using that bluish mix. I've painted the stems in those shades of green, and now I'm adding a little bit of sepia here and there on the stem, making it in some places a little bit darker. Sepia I'm also adding to those leaves on the right because I do want to make it a little bit darker in some parts to make it, more interesting, to make more interest to them. So I've added those lines. Also, I'm adding some veins to my eucalyptus leaves and just using for that darker shade of green to paint in the middle vein and also those smaller veins going out from it. And after that, I'm using that lighter mix of green and just painting in some of the leaves, some of the eucalyptus leaves, and just spreading the paint upwards to make it slightly looser, just not to keep it inside the borders of the leaves, but just adding it slightly also outside. And then I've sprinkled it with some sepia, again that green, sprayed with the water just to spread that paint. And as I said, I do like it to be slightly looser. It was just too sterile for me like that. You can, of course, if you like it, you don't have to do those sprinkles and you don't have to spray it with water. You can just finish right there. But I do like it, when there are just, some added interest to it, when it looks a little bit looser. And I've added also the sepia to parts of the eucalyptus leaves. At the end, I wanted to make those leaves on the right side, half green, half sepia. So I've added sepia to that one half. I will also be adding some highlights with white gel pen, and you can add them also with the white gouache if you don't have white gel pen, so it's up to you. And it's up to you also, maybe you don't even want to add it. I did want to add a little bit more highlights. And with those last couple of details, I'll be finishing off this painting and of course this video. Thank you guys a lot for watching. I hope you liked it. And if you did, please hit the like button, share it, comment. And if you haven't still, please subscribe to my channel. And without further ado, I hope I'll see you next time. Bye!